Hello, everybody, and welcome to Arc 6, Episode 9 of Transplanar RPG's The Second Stranger. We are an all-transgender, people of color-led, 100% homebrew Dungeons & Dragons show set in Andake, an original dark fantasy and non-colonial anti-orientalist world, streaming Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I am your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all across the internet at byconniechang, BYCONNIECHANG. Toss me a follow on Twitter, TikTok, Itch, and Ko-Fi. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Quinn.
Hello, I'm Quinn. My pronouns are they, she, I think. More on that at 11. I'm a TTRPG designer, sensitivity reader, and actual play performer. You can find me on Twitter at Quintastic_. And I play Sitlali, the grave cleric who has never done anything wrong in their entire life, who also uses they, she pronouns. And I'm going to pass intros over to Valiant Dorian.
Hi, I love when people say my name in a sing-songy voice. Hi, my name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a TTRPG performer and Twitch variety streamer, and today I have the distinct privilege of playing Voska, the Paragon of Nebuza, storyteller, and someone who is completely fine and coping with everything. She uses she, they pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Otso Spirit Bear. Please enjoy this incredible little treasure hunt I just put you on. And I'm going to pass introductions over to Max.
Hello, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey Quirk. He's also fine and doing just groovy, if that's what we're saying about our characters now. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Starchmonger. That's me. And I'll pass it to C.
Groovy is maybe not the way I would describe Dewey, but hi everyone, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I am a TTRPG performer, dramaturg, wearer of many hats, and today I am playing Mokoya Hyen, who uses they, them pronouns, who's fine. It's fine. They're fine. Just like everyone else, they're fine. They're fine. They're fine. This is fine, right? They're fine. And I am having the distinct pleasure of proudly announcing that this episode of The Second Stranger is indeed sponsored by Demetria Pines and Explain Trade, which is a negotiation skills training consultancy believing in the power of D&D and Transplanar's potential to grow, tell great stories, and lift up our community. Explain Trade trades negotiators for governments, big companies, NGOs, and offers e-learning courses for individuals looking to get a better deal from their boss. Check them out over at explaintrade.com. I really feel like that spiel is the best way for me to do a tongue twister.
I would like to thank our Patreon paragons. These are our patrons pledged to the highest tier on our Patreon. And those people are Azra, Brookbright, Bradley, Charles, Chiagres, Cora Eckert, Hat, Lex Slater, Marvelous, Canding, Moonflower Tea, Purple Mouse, Risa, Rue, Scruffuses, and Target. Thank you. We love y'all so much. And I'll pass it to Quinn for what the heck happened last time.
Did happen last time, Max. Last time on The Second Stranger. I regret this bit because I need these to read. Oh, that's staying in, isn't it? Oh, God. Okay.
Absolutely.
Last time on The Second Stranger, Oka, Sitlali, Voska, Dewey, and Mercy appear in the sacred grove on the night Mokoya Hyen dies. The scene plays itself out, and the Telian part of Oka reveals it was afflicted with something called mother's blood after being trapped at the URL. When Mokoya Hyen dies, Liangya isn't able to bring them back. Sitlali, on death's door, pulls their soul out of their body and goes after the shred of Mokoya Hyen in the after. Voska and Dewey desperately try to hold on to her runaway soul, and Oka stitches their own life back together. So, we're having a normal one. Shuhai blips them all back to the beginning of the time loop. There, Mercy freaks on Sitlali for leaving her, even though Sitlali wants to go back and try again immediately. Wouldn't you? Come on. She storms off after punching Voska, and Oka and Dewey go after her. Sitlali and Voska have a quick soul checkup and a heart-to-heart while they formulate a plan to use Dewey's god jar to bring the shred of Mokoya Hyen's soul back to Oka's body. After some convincing, the group gathers again and warps onto the pagoda, not in front of the pagoda, onto the pagoda, to confront Shuhai Meow. And that's what you missed last time. Use exclamation point recap to reach our recap document. And Valiant Dorian, tell us about the title, please.
I would love to. The titles of our episodes come from marginalized writers of all stripes. Today's title is Blessing, Transaction, Gift, Burden, from the poem On the Island of Adopted Children by Sarah E. Chin. The full verse reads, 4. What words are there for this? Blessing, transaction, gift, burden, plenitude.
Thank you for that, Val. Moving on to the session itself, content warnings for this episode and our campaign in general may include fantasy violence, monsters and monstrosity, body horror, gore, blood and bloodletting, apocalypse, trauma and grief, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, romance, references to sexual entanglement, death of loved ones, experimentation, memory loss, and disreality. So use exclamation point CW for a full list of these content warnings at any time, and exclamation point safety for a look at the cast's lines and veils to know what topics are a no-go no matter how dark things get. So, with that out of the way, let's begin. Oka? Voska? Dewey? Sitlali? Mercy? Oka? Who are you? What do you want with me? What do you want with my friends? Hey. I'm not gonna hurt you. I promise. Sagu, it's me. I don't know who you are. It's Shuhai. Shuhai. But that's impossible. You haven't been alive for half a myriad. How are you? Who? Is this the God Shard's doing? A simulacrum of a history fractured and repeated, and the God Shard called for my help. Reached across space, across time, found me in a crucible. When I arrived, past, present, and future melded in my soul, I saw a path I hadn't walked yet, back in my own time after the stranger left. I saw my destiny. I saw you. I'm sorry, did you say the stranger? Yes. I am, was, will be, fighting the stranger in my time as you are trying to hold her back in yours. The God Shard pulled me out of the battle. I need to fix this. Stop the cataclysm from ever starting in the first place before I can go back to helping my friends. Wait, so you have two Sens within you? A whole one and the God Shard? Ever the inquisitive mind. I've always loved that about you. Or, I suppose, I will always love that about you. I haven't met you yet, technically speaking. No, I have just the shard in me. I lost the whole Sen somewhere along the journey here. I don't think the same god can exist twice in a single timeline, but I could be wrong. This is uncharted territory. So, did you say soulmate? I did. Is that, scientifically speaking, is that a fact? Or, but that you were around 5,000 years ago. How could I have been there? Unless you could be a reincarnation of yourself, like this Oka is of me. Oka's a reincarnation of you? Unfortunately, I felt it immediately as soon as I laid eyes on them. We share the same soul. Am I a reincarnation of Sagu? I'm not sure, Sagu. Your soul is the same as the one I haven't met yet in the past, but you also look exactly the same. There are strong physical differences between myself and Oka. I'm taller. And yet none between the Sagu I will meet after I go home and the Sagu I see standing before me now. You are basically the same in appearance. So, what does that mean? Am I... Who am I? What are we to each other? And if you fought the stranger, what can you tell us about her that we don't know? What are her strengths? Her weaknesses? What does she want? Why does she just leave? One moment, my darling. I thought I told you to fuck off! Is that Oka? Oka, can you hear me? I'm okay. I'm just talking with Shuhai. Apparently they knew me in the past. They're telling me about the stranger. I think we're getting somewhere. We just need to sit down and... Shuhai? What are you doing? Why are the stars moving? They're meddling. Bothersome little half-grown whelps. Shuhai, I don't know if that's entirely necessary. They're reasonable people, and they're good at what they do. Can't you just let them help? But is that a Tarask? That should keep them busy. And if they're truly good at what they do, like you say they are, a tiny little Tarask shouldn't be a problem, no? Well, when you put it that way, I suppose not. And again, Shuhai, I don't know if this is entirely necessary. Oka is your successor. After all, maybe if they took the God Shard, they'd be able to help. Sagu. I'm here now. You don't have to settle for my shattered successor. Let me fix this, okay? Just relax, have some tea. I disagree with your assertion that Oka is a shattered successor, so to speak. The Paragons now are, well, they're doing their best. So is Oka, and all we want to do is save Endake, so can't you let us help? What's going on? What's happening? Nitbuza's frozen fucking titties. My successor is throwing a fit. Apparently, they can't even get past a single Tarask, so now they're breaking reality. My apologies, Sagu. I'll be right back. But... Oh, you're back. That was fast. Your friend in this time are very annoying, Sagu. I much preferred your social life during the Great Rebuilding. Are my friends okay? Oka? Where are they? Wait, what social life? Oh, well, you didn't exactly have one. You were aloof back then, very idiosyncratic. Odd, even. You seem to have adjusted a bit more in this time, but you were quite the odd duckling. I like that about you. Oh, well, how's the tea? Good. The tea is good. Where are my friends? Where's Oka? Oka this, Oka that. I'm here now, Sagu. You don't have to worry about them. What spell are you casting? Are you trying to unwrite the cataclysm? You've always had such a sharp eye for magic. Yes, I am. But that's ontological spell work, Shuhai. It's reality magic. It's dangerous. You could shatter entire timelines, hemorrhage planes. I know what I'm doing, Sagu. I'm a paragon, remember, as long as no one interrupts me or fiddles with the spell while I'm casting it. It'll be fine. Relax. Oh! You again. And on that, Shuhai Meow cocks their head to the side, and their eye lands on you, Oka. What do you do?
Oka is not even looking at Shuhai, actually. They are looking at Dr. Luso at the tea table, and I think as they warp back into reality, they continue to hate that sensation, but they stagger once and then use that momentum to immediately go toward the tea table, and I think they kind of like clunk against it, right? On the other side of where Dr. Luso is sitting and having tea. Hitagaton, are you
Oka.
Are you okay?
Oka, yes, I'm perfectly fine. I've just been drinking tea and talking with Shuhai. Are you okay? And Hitsagen gets up immediately, like puts the teacup down and like goes around the table to get to you, like checking you. I think their hands like go on to your face. They like check down like your shoulders, like down the length of your torso, like examining you for cuts and bruises.
I feel like Oka got punched like once or twice. Oh yeah, they have a bruise from Mercy. It's fine. They have a black eye. I'm fine. Are you sure you're okay? Are you?
Your face. Did Shuhai? Did you attack Oka? Nope. I did. Says Mercy, sort of like waving from behind Oka, standing next to Sitlali, Dewey, and Voska. But why? What? Oka, what happened down there? The glass, the shattering, the reality spindling in every direction.
I have no fucking idea. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Shuhai was just telling me about the stranger and why they're here and how they got to be here and I guess they knew me. That's beside the point. But now that everyone's here, Shuhai, please, can't we just talk? I don't talk to failures. You may have made your way up here. Fine, I'll give you that. But you're still not worthy. Just let me work. Says the past paragon of Sen as they continue to, like, rot this beautiful glowing green spellwork all around their body. Like, these delicate strands of, like, glowing strings of magic just flowing in the air around them, almost like they're an orchestral conductor pulling various notes of magic out of the air and stringing them into new compositions.
Really? Are you serious? Do you know how many times I've almost died trying to get here? Do you know how many people I've loved who have died so that I could get here?
That's a pity about all the people who have died, putting their hopes in a shattered vessel such as yourself. Just sit down, have some tea. Let me take care of this. Let me fix this mistake of yours.
It's been almost a year. Does it take you that long?
A year? Huh. Well, I suppose time flies when you're looping it back again over and over and over, but I'm close. I can feel it. I must be close. Just, you're distracting me, and they sort of like cock their head to the side dismissively and like fling like a palm up, and you see this like swirling brand of just like sigils, like almost form like a protective dome around them as they like almost like put like noise canceling headphones on, essentially, right? Like, and dome themselves off with all these like sigils glowing in like a semicircle around them as they continue to work.
Is this the kind of conversation you've been having this whole time?
No, they've been very upfront with me.
Oh, so it's just me then? You just have a problem with me? Well, I didn't fucking choose this either!
Destiny chooses us against our will, appoints certain fates for us that we, if given the choice, might not have decided upon ourselves. And sure, I'll give that to you. You might be my successor, we might share the same soul, fate might have chosen you this time around, Oka. But I'm here too. And when the god shard of Sen called out for its paragon for help, for succor, when the cataclysm occurred in your timeline, it did not reach out to you, it reached out to me.
And it was you who failed to protect us in the first place.
Failed? You dare speak to me of failure? It took you a year to get here, Mokoya Hyen. You say I failed to have stopped the cataclysm, giving myself a year to work. Well, why did it take you 8 months to get here too, You don't even have the excuse of being flung out of your own space and time.
Don't I? With a shattered fucking soul that I just made myself, how was I supposed to know where to go because you were here instead of guiding me?
One look at you and I can tell you still do not deserve my guidance. Fate might have chosen you, but I do not recognize you as my successor. You couldn't even beat a measly Tarask. You expect me to entrust the care, the safety, the future of Andake in your paltry hands. I don't think so. All of you new paragons are shattered echoes of what we were. Embarrassment.
So are the gods. Shattered pieces of what they used to be. We suit each other now.
Shattered as you might be here, you are no match for the stranger in your current state. Much better if I turn back the cataclysm here, then there's no way she could come. This is her influence. The lack of stars, it's miraculous she hasn't even arrived yet in your time, it being a year. Don't mess this up for everyone, Oka. Let me work.
You couldn't even work in your own time. You want to talk about broken? You were complete. You got the whole god. You got all of destiny. You had all of the paragons. You were all together. And you couldn't beat her either. So what do you intend to do now? This is not your time. This is my time.
Who told you we couldn't beat her?
Oka looks at Dewey.
Carvatch?
Carvatch. And Shuhai's eyes slide off of Oka past this half dome of spellwork whirling around them and land on you, Dewey. And sort of like how they looked at Voska in this memory of the Silent Grove, it's like they're looking past you at something inside you. Like they're not seeing you, they're seeing Carvatch. Ha! You. Everyone called me cynical, but no. You were the one. You were the one who always harbored doubt, weren't you? Juan Ustoy swore us to secrecy. And you broke it, didn't you?
I can't speak for... I don't want to speak for Carvatch. But it seems like keeping the secret between the 8 of you, didn't go so great, and... if I've learned anything, it's that we can all use all the help we can get.
Jukai, you lose yourself. Keeping a secret kept your legacies in the dark. Yes, destiny chooses what it will, yet here we all are, vessels upon vessels, charting our course. You lose yourself. You... And Voska looks over to Oka, looks back over to Shuhai. You forget yourself.
I forget myself. I forget myself. I am splintered, shattered across 2 different timelines, fighting the same fight, holding back the literal fucking apocalypse. And you accuse me of forgetting myself? You
So
couldn't
let people
even
help.
I will not take help from the likes of the 5 of you.
So who will you take help from then? Shall we go find them for you?
Just sit there and let me work.
You're exhausting.
They ignore you and they continue to sweep the spell around. I think this bubble around them growing denser and denser as more sigils sort of latch on, coming out of the weave out of nowhere, just glomming on like snowflakes against a snow globe. And as that happens, I think all of you sort of feel the weave start to tense as time continues ticking onward here, and the cataclysm is approaching yet again, right? And they're going, no, that's not quite right. They're moving pieces off and putting pieces back in, they're trying to find the trick they haven't quite yet figured out, right? What the key is to turning back the cataclysm, even though it's taken them a year.
Paragon of change, you really are a stubborn asshole. GM, can I recognize any of this spell work? Or what kind of magic is this? What it do?
What do it do?
What do it do?
Yeah, why don't you roll Arcana?
25.
25. You don't recognize it. It is not a form of magic that exists in the modern world. Whatever kind of arcane power Shuhai is weaving seems to be a more like ancient or almost like forgotten practice. But I think like as your eyes are scanning like the various sigils coming down, you don't recognize any of them. They're like written in a tongue you don't speak. And like the way they're doing magic too is like super old. It's like really like no one here practices this kind of like magic anymore. It's like a forgotten oral tradition or like a forgotten dance form, right? That just like not enough people practice it anymore, so it's gone. But Shuhai does, and they're doing it now. And I think seeing your eyes like looking, like scanning, trying to figure out what's happening here, Dr. Uluso actually sort of like leans in next to you, but next to the dome and says, Oka, this is ontological spell work. It, regards the fundamental building blocks of what comprises reality. Shuhai is trying to rewrite reality here so that the cataclysm has never occurred in the first place. But it's dangerous, it's volatile. It's like trying to thread a needle in the middle of a storm, and there are 1,000 different needles, and you have to pick the right one, and if you pick the wrong one, it all collapses. So they're trying to find the right needle, I suppose. And you sort of see Shuhai like putting sigils into this puzzle piece, like this dome they've arranged around them, and then rearranging it, and then shooting one out and then pulling another one in.
Well, obviously they can't do it without... and I think without even finishing that sentence, Oka cuts their palm, like on their own like arm on culling edge. They just kind of swipe it across their arm and stick their hand into the wall, because they only understand how to do magic if their own essence is tethered into it. This is like necromancy, right? You're trying to build reality without any kind of life force. That's ridiculous. And that's just the immediate answer that Oka goes to, and they stick like their, like, I imagine it's kind of like whirling around them so that the blood then like is in the spell.
Yes.
In the spell work.
You do it without asking permission, without saying anything. Your hand sort of dips into the swirling, lambent spellwork, just netting, almost like a thick, crossed-together cobweb of just magical symbols swirling in this dome. You stick your fingers in, like sinking your hand into a fast-moving river, and you see your own blood shoot out in like a long red thread and start to wrap itself around the spellwork, and you see your blood cut through sigils and sort of burst and explode them, and also like your blood, I think, veins outward like red ivy and starts to spread across all of it. And Shuhai goes, What are you doing? What? No. What have you done? No. And like they're trying to like rip your blood out of like this swirling wind wall of magic, but it's like trying to remove a dye from water after you've dyed it.
Oh, this is my favorite thing that I've ever done in my whole life. Since Oka now has a blood-bending feature, I can also control my own blood. And now that I'm in the spell work, because that is the crux of all of Oka's magic, right? Like they understand blood and necromancy and the divine triptych and the way that blood navigates those three things innately through literal spell work. So they're gonna try to tether themselves into the spell so they can understand it.
Roll a D100.
Oh! Never mind. No guidance or for me, buddy. It's all you!
21.
Okay, Oka, as you try to command your blood within this swirling vortex around Shuhai, you also hear Dr. Luso go, Oka, no, that's dangerous, that's bad. And Shuhai is also going, stop, what have you done? No, what have you done, you fool? And they lock eyes across this like swirling webwork of magic, like past it, your own blood mixed in with it. You lock eyes, and that's the last thing you see before the world explodes.
All right, good episode, everyone. It's good to
you all
see
die.
you. Have
Goodbye.
a great
That's
day.
the end of Jukai. Bye-bye. This dome we see almost from like above the tower. This dome of emerald green magic now webbed with crimson red blood shimmers and expands, like almost like a nuclear reaction going off, just gets big. It like this bright emerald and crimson light swallows the top of the tower, like goes up, and even as you see the stars systematically begin to vanish, this light swallows up oblivion as well and pushes, like sweeps down the slope, this hill of Kinongbo, swallows these bamboo trees, swallows everyone at the party, just this wall of white obliterating everything, like pushes past, like swallows all of the abandoned residential homes built on stilts, slanted against this sloped hill, all the way down to the base of this mountain, even swallowing up people dancing on stages and eating takoyaki, and walking through the main road. All of this is just vanished within this solid green heaving light interwoven with crimson thread, and then a pale sky. A chilly breeze. The smell of earth, snow, chicken feathers. A cottage sitting on the edge of a gulch, the straw shingles of its roof fluttering in the wind. And Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V stand upon a wooden porch looking different, younger, less scarred. Dewey's cargo shorts are covered with dust. V wears a vest and a Kelly green tie. Manaya's trench coat is black and long. And Oka's hair is shorter, much shorter, almost like a buzz cut, and they look very unwell. There is a noise, like the sound of an explosion being played in inverse. And I think exploding, or rather imploding into existence, are all of you. Oka, Sitlali, Voska, Dewey, Mercy, and Shuhai. All of you just bam, like drop out of nowhere, out of reality. You ribbon into existence, little eddies of your own molecules solidifying around, I think, like an almost fallow bed of what used to be carrots, in front of the homestead. Your body's translucent and ghostly, just like they were in that fractured memory of the Silent Grove. And as you all plop onto the ground, I think your body's thudding hollowly against this memory, this echo of a memory, this fragment of a personal subconscious stream. All of you see Shuhai, who's also ghostly. Like when they slam onto the ground, they let out a, oh. And popping out of their chest is a rabbit. And the rabbit is not ghostly. The rabbit looks corporeal. It looks solid. It has these bright eyes and this very soft, tufted fur, these long hair-like ears, and these tiny little nubbin antlers coming out of its forehead. And Shuhai gasps, completely ignoring like the past versions of Okamanaya, Dewey, and V on the porch. They like sort of like start to stagger up to a stand. Sen. And they start to run after the rabbit, ignoring all of you. What do you all do?
Oka, who I feel like is probably equidistant from Shuhai, hears Sen, sees Shuhai dive, and it's like their feet are moving before they even know what they're doing, like baseball skid slide to the same spot, trying to grab Sen?
Yeah, looking at that rabbit, all of you feel, even like Sitlali, who's not a paragon, right? Even you and Mercy feel like the weave just wobbling and rippling and sort of like doing like a kind of like miasmic dance around this rabbit. Like this rabbit is like a massive black hole in the fabric of reality, sucking everything toward it, exerting pressure, but also vacuous energy at the same time. Yeah, it feels like a god shard, all right. Unlike the crackling, heavy, copper tang presence of Vinash, Sen's presence is swirling like an eddy, an ever-turning wheel within a wheel. Like as you get close to it, you almost feel like your body might discorporealize and turn into these like long horizontal stripes that rotate it, right? Like it's a black hole pulling things apart and making them swirl around it. And Shuhai dives for it, and Oka dives for it. What did the rest of you do?
Question. Are they just diving along the ground, like chasing a rabbit in this space, or have they gone somewhere else from the immediate vicinity?
The former is correct. Sen is in the middle of hopping over like a low fence, like just like impossibly high hop for a rabbit, but it goes up like in a perfect like inverse of a parabola, like whoop, and like hops over it and like lands.
Bosca is going to be extremely cheeky because she does not like how Shuhai has been treating Oka, especially with the kindness that her predecessor showed her. Pulls out her flute and puts it underneath her lips and plays this very light-hearted tune, almost whimsical, as she casts Enhance Ability on Oka, Cat's Grace. You have advantage on dexterity checks, and you don't take damage, falling from 20 feet or less. And it's just kind of like this whimsical, Ghibli-like tune of when you were to watch a cat like flitting about between different spaces, and that's what she's just playing, and you see this like ghostly form of a cat just linger on her shoulder and like hop between each of the different people and then landing on Oka.
And I think despite how focused they are as the magic kind of swirls around them, Oka also kind of like does a very graceful jump for the kind of scramble that they are currently normally often doing. And I think they like almost look over their shoulder, and their double pupils are, there's still two in each eye, but I think they look like a cat's pupil now, like both of them, as the magic like kind of takes hold on them as they jump forward.
Oka Catboy confirmed. Okay, what is Sitlali doing as this mad scramble initiates?
First, taking psychic damage from you. I think Sitlali and Mercy are just kind of standing there, like, heads both cocked to, like, the same direction, just like, huh. Paragons are just kind of like this. Okay. C is, like, I think enough of a gap between Shuhai and Sen and Oka, and just, like, casually, very quickly draws a very sharp-looking sigil in the air, and was like, hey babe, check this shit out. Pushes it and casts Blade Barrier between Shuhai and Oka and Sen.
Oh my god, what does that look like?
So it's a wall of whirling razor-sharp blades that are, of course, pink, purple, like all of, basically the colors of Sitlali's hair, all of it. It's 20 feet high, 5 feet thick, and 100 feet long. So run, bitch.
These ghostly, multicolored blades swirl into existence, almost like a thorn barrier, but comprised of like literal cutting edges. And Shuhai, I think, turns and spins to a graceful halt in front of it as this like 100-foot long barrier, like 20 feet high, like looming tall, rippling into existence. And Shuhai, without even having stopped, using the momentum of them drawing a circle through the dirt of their body, you see like their robes flutter and they spring up into the air. And as they do, you see their form gracefully melt into that of a, I think, flying crane. Like, they sort of elongate, they become elegant and beautiful, they transform, you see these feathers ripple outward, and they flap once, twice, up and over this blade wall. And as they like pinion and dive downward toward where Oka is hopping with grace-like dexterity over to Sen, the rabbit, who's like hopping from log, to rock to tree, like all across the homestead. You see this graceful crane-like form start to transform into something lithe and feline and muscular and long as Shuhai starts to transmogrify into another beast to beat Oka's speed almost. While this is happening, Dewey, what do you do?
Dewey, I think from the very beginning, got distracted looking at those people in the distance. Hey, isn't that, that looks like us. Hey, Oka. Then he looks back, I suppose. And there is... What does Shuhai look like now?
A tiger. drops onto the ground like a dire tiger. Massive, muscular, powerful, right? Snarling, right, at the whiskers, just bristling with teeth and these dark obsidian stripes along an orange body. Except that one eye looks like Oka's eye, right? With like the blue sclera, those two double black pupils, and the other eye, every time the tiger blinks, changes from a tiger's eye to a swan's eye to someone else's eye, or to a green eye to a human eye, just flickers between different kinds of irises.
I think as the blade barrier goes up, Oka does a cheeky little a cartwheel over one of, because they are actually like intimately familiar with the homestead now. They know where things are, so they hop off of like the rock that they sometimes eat lunch at. You know what I mean? They like cartwheel over it and like give a kind of smug little like cheeky smile. But then Shuhai turns into a crane and they're like, oh fuck, and they focus on trying to get to Sen as fast as they can. And I think they even like go past the like door to the homestead and they kind of like do a double take as they see themselves like days after the cataclysm, like doing the thing where they're like definitely sulking and definitely like a little hungover, like on the porch, and they kind of see themselves and they're like, nope, okay, Sen, and they keep going.
Dewey, how are you responding to that?
I think they're too far away from Dewey to do anything at this point, so he sort of just like sidles up to like Vasca and Sitlali and Mercy to watch these shenanigans go down. And he's like looking from this nonsense back up to Mercy and then back and forth. Just like, so should we go and this seems...
They're both stubborn mules. They need to get this out of their system.
Godshard on the loose! And Mercy draws her greatsword and starts hoofing it, right? I think the other hand grabs onto Sitlali's hand, because she's not gonna let you out of her sight, and she's like tugging you along, and is like running past like the blade barrier.
Babe, don't stab the Godshard. Whatever you do, don't stab
and Mercy is also like hoofing it, trying to catch up. And I think we pan forward to that tiger and Oka and the Godshard of Sen just hopping. The tiger catching up very fast. This tiger is speedy, Oka, even with your like cat-like grace, as you're taking the shortcuts, like bouncing from rock to tree to fen to whatever, right? Like the tiger is just, you hop over like thorn bush and Shuhai just barrels through it, right? Just completely like just ghostly form, just going through it, like little bits of like thorn, I think, stuck to their whiskers. And then you see in front of you, maybe only at this point 15 feet away, the hopping little rabbit form of Sen spring up into the air in this beautiful curve, woo, and then disappears into a rabbit hole.
This is embarrassing. That's thunder. Absolutely no questions asked. Oka dives face first into the hole.
That's what she said.
Bonk.
Make an acrobatics check.
Okay. I am pretty good at acrobatics. 17. Rolled a 7,
no.
even with advantage.
Are you gonna jump at the same time?
I also rolled a 17.
You're gonna
No lie. So the two of you, as you jump, the tiger like sort of like pauses just to wiggle like its haunches and then also springs forward massively. And the two of you dive face first into that tiny little rabbit hole. The tiger's huge girth, like bumping up against your like slender, more dexterous form. And as that happens, you're like ripping at each other, like your hands and claws scrubbling into the dirt. The two of you feel the world, the dirt around you fold up like a knapsack, and your ant's on a knapsack, and it just, like you see like the dirt on your left and on your right, the earth just rise and curve like a sphere. And like you feel almost like reality that's bent like a teardrop up and around you springs back down with a boing, 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 and you are no longer on the homestead. You are in an office. A plain, nondescript office with no windows, just 4 bare walls, a desk, 2 chairs. And sitting in one chair is Dewey, from a lifetime ago. Cargo shorts, glasses, drooping pale gray feathers that haven't been upgraded yet. And sitting in the other chair is a woman. An elf with these long, drooping ears, pale, limpid skin, straw white hair hanging lifelessly around her shoulders like it's tired of growing out of her scalp. Her eyes are watery, translucent almost. You can't tell if they're white or blue. These dark bags hang under her eyes. This is the most tired woman any of you have ever seen. Even so, she wears the most pristine black suit with a dark red shirt underneath, the collar popped open to reveal a bony clavicle. And Dewey, as you and Oka and Shuhai and Sitlali and Mercy and Voska all arrive in this space, in ghostly version, you watch as your former boss, the president of the URL, Lilith, shuffles a stack of papers on her desk. There are, rumors about you, Mr. Quirk. Interesting rumors indeed about what you've been up to in hardware. The kinds of people you've been associating with.
I mostly just talk to my colleagues. I know, I'm sorry about the office party. I wasn't at, I know it said mandatory. I had to go visit my family. But really, I mostly just talk about work with my coworkers.
Yes, well, your presence was missed at the office party. You missed the gift bags. Do you know this woman, Cardew? And she slides like a black and white grainy photograph across the table of a daguerreotype. Of someone you recognize very well, half-elf investigative journalist Edbuta Birala. This photograph looks like it was taken from like a distance, almost with like a zoom lens or something, and she's like exiting a tea shop, right, looking down the street.
I've never seen that person in my life. Who is that?
Oh, that's fascinating, Mr. Quirk. And as she says fascinating, she pushes a second black and white photo across the desk, and it's one of you on one side of like a tea table, and then Buta Birala on the other side, like taken from across the street, right? Like talking to each other, and it's like a busy Tulongin street.
And I think the awkward smile on Dewey's face fades very slowly.
Is this what you were doing when you were visiting family? Is that your wife?
There's a long pause, and Dewey doesn't answer the question. But then he looks up sort of timidly. He makes eye contact with her and says, "What have you done with her?"
Miss Birala. That's none of your concern, Mr. Quirk. What is your concern is, of course, the goodie bag you missed at the office party. And she reaches into like a shelf, like into a drawer by her desk, and pulls out like a little like wrapped up like present, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, and she slides it across the desk to you. Please, try it on.
What did you do? What did you do to her?
Don't you know it's rude to refuse a gift from your employer, Mr. Quirk? Open up the gift and we'll talk.
Goes to open the bag.
You open up the bag, there's a little box within it. You take out the box and you unwrap it, and sitting in a cushion of velvet is a beautiful watch. Nice, like, leather straps, like a beautiful, elegant, carved silver watch face. But what's interesting about this watch is there's no minute and second and hour hand. It's just sort of like a blank watch face with a single arm and no, like, swatches along the face.
What is this? What do you want from me?
It's a watch, Mr. Quirk. Perhaps it will help you punch in on time more consistently. Why don't you try it on?
There are clocks everywhere. I have like 4 of them on my desk.
Try it on, Mr. Quirk. Thunder rumbles from beyond the office.
And Dewey he doesn't undo the clasp. He just sort of holds it to his wrist to sort of look at the fit.
And Lilith raises 2 slender, bony fingers and snaps, and the straps tighten and click into place, like perfectly around your wrist.
What the hell?
And as soon as the clasp tightens around your wrist, on the click, exploding out of Dewey's hand from that wristwatch is a rabbit. It springs up into existence, ballooning into the air. Sen, as it just sort of goes up like a gazer, and like flies up, like it's like the tops of its ears brush against the ceiling, and it lands in the middle of the room, in the center of where Shuhai, Oka, Sitlali, Present Dewey, and Voska are standing. Sen! And Shuhai, without another word, dives for it.
I think while all of this had been going down, Oka, I imagine we had blipped in here at some point or folded into this reality after, and Oka kind of got up. You know, they had been looking around for Sen, and I think eventually, opened one of the filing cabinets and was, leafing through it, but had, paused to watch this whole exchange, and had, looked at Dewey, that's how you got the bomb watch?
What was I supposed to do? Hey.
Is that just normally how they give office presents? Oh, fuck! And Oka dives for it, too.
I love that. Yeah, as Oka, you and Shuhai had also been looking through filing cabinets, in a ghostly form, and even as, the objects in this room had moved, neither past Lilith nor past Dewey seemed to notice at all. So, whether or not this is, a real point in time or just a memory or maybe a mixture of both or neither is up in the air, but that's beyond your concern right now. Sen hops up as you dive, out of your grasp, right? You do it like a baseball skid and your hands, go, clasping over air as Sen just jumps up in springs into the air, and Shuhai bumps heads against you. Shuhai is no longer a tiger, is in in-person form again. Ascend springs up onto the top of a filing cabinet.
I think as Oka clonks head, bad dog, which I think is a hounds maneuver from the monster hunting group. If a monster escapes the trap that we've laid, bad dog means the dog is loose. And I think it initiates some kind of action to get the monster that's out of the trap.
Yes.
So that's what Oka shouts. Is they kind of, I think they push Shuhai's face down, just like a kid on a playground.
Into the carpet. Yeah. And on Bad Dog, Mercy hair trigger reaction. She throws her sword at Sen. She throws the greatsword through the air, and I'm gonna make an attack roll. That's a natural 20! Oh my god, okay, so...
And I don't know if I can normally do this against people that are my friends, but, Sentinel at Death's Door, as a reaction when you, or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you suffers a critical hit, you can turn that hit into a normal hit and cancel any critical effects because Grave Clerics. So,
what does it look like as you interfere with Mercy? It looks perfect. Sen's back is turned to where Mercy is, it's sort of grooming itself, and its ear is flicking, and Mercy is just going, bad dog, and throws it.
Is it a javelin?
Fuck, you're right. You're right, it's not her greatsword, it's one of her javelins, right? The poison-tipped javelin, she hawks it through the air, and it starts to right towards Sen. So Sitlali, how do you disrupt this crit?
I think Sitlali just kind of reaction, involuntarily, like, reaches a hand out, grabs onto part of the weave and says no, and just stops it midair.
The javelin just pauses, and that gives Sen enough time to hop around, notice this, like, javelin spinning in midair, like, inches away from its little rabbit face. It looks at, like, cocks its head to the side, hops up onto the point of the javelin, springs off of the javelin, does, like, a double somersault through the air, and phases through a wall. What? Molly, what? I had it!
It said, don't kill the god shard. One thing. Just one thing, babe. Just one.
Like one of my javelins could kill the fucking god shard of Sen.
Good.
Oh.
Have you met a god shard?
Bad dog means trap it. Bad dog running means kill it.
Oh, right.
You're babe, you're
Right, I forgot that. The wall! And Mercy, like, turns to the wall that Sen phased through. Shuhai dives through it. Shuhai is gone. Shuhai just immediately turns and runs, like, breakneck pace straight for that wall. Like, they're not even scared they're gonna, like, bump into it, and they don't. They phase through it as well. It's like the opposite wall from where Dewey and Lilith are seated at.
And I think Sitlali just turns and looks at Oka and just says, go and cast freedom of movement, aka slippery bastard. So your movement is unaffected by difficult terrain. Spells and other magical effects can neither reduce your speed nor cause you to be paralyzed or restrained. And you can spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape from non-magical restraints. And also being underwater imposes no penalties, which is neat.
At that same time, as soon as Sitlali says that, Voska looks at Oka and just goes, show him what you're made of. And gives you a bardic inspiration.
I heart my support classes. Oka, I think, kind of scrambles up off the ground and takes off. I think they hurdle over this Dewey memory, as I think, like, memory Dewey was starting to stand up. Oka hurdles over them and goes for the wall too.
And Oka, you glide right through it like it's the surface of a pool. Like, you're just gone. It shimmers and you're gone.
This catches Dewey's attention. He was looking at himself, and then Oka runs through it, and his eyes follow, and he's like, "Wait, no, that's her private bathroom. You can't go in there." And then sort of looks back at Voska and Sitlali and Mercy, like, "We can't just let them go by themselves, right?"
Mercy has grabbed onto Sitlali's hand, grabs the javelin still suspended in the air, and is pulling both through the wall.
Sitlali lets it happen and is also kind of like, how did I do that? What's, having a moment of magic, what?
What do you mean? I just assumed you could always do this, but never did? I don't know. I'm not a magic person. Let's get that god shard! Rabbit time! And Mercy's, like, hurtling through.
Voska will, if Dewey allows, take Dewey's hand and just lead them through, because we got things to do, but does give, like, a sympathetic look of, like, we don't have time, but I understand.
Yeah, Dewey, as Voska grabs his hand and pulls him through the wall, he takes one last glance at his old self standing there with the watch.
Dewey, you're the last to phase through the wall. Voska goes through, like, pulling you sympathetically. You do one last glance over your shoulder, and you see yourself with the bomb watch on, like, stuttering and stammering in like, shock, like, not knowing what's happening. And, like, Lilith's steepled fingers propped under her chin, her, like, head cocked to the sides with a very slight smirk on her pale face. And then you see her, like, limpid eyes flick past memory Dewey and fix onto you, present Dewey. And that smirk freezes. And she cocks her head to the side, and before you're pulled through, Dewey, you hear her go, my. I'll see you after, Adolin. And you're gone. And all of you now hurtle not into Lilith's private bath, but into a hallway. A vast hallway, much more space than that office. Marble floors, wooden walls, a thick tongue of red carpet. A statue of some ancient hero is nestled in a stone-hewn nook, a placard inscribed in a language long since dead. The smell of snow, winter, ice, a ceiling vast and vaulted, wooden ribs holding stained tile aloft. And the first thing to pop through one of the walls is Sen. Pop, hop, 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 and then pops through, like, phases through the opposing wall. And then Shuhai and Oka hurtle through it, like neck to neck, shoving at each other, running, sprinting, and both of you also hurtle through, like, the opposite wall, because that's where you saw Sen. And then, like, Sitlali, Vaska, Mercy, and finally Dewey also, like, stumble through this hallway, and, like, Mercy takes a beat to be like, where the fuck is this? Ah, Oka! And, like, keeps running and, like, phases through the opposite wall as well. And I think, like, this moment is, like, really fast. All of you just sort of, like, hurtle, like, perpendicular across this corridor, and you're past the wall again. And now that you're past this hallway, you all sort of stagger and stumble onto sand. You all sort of hear, like, the rushing, salt-slick pull of waves in the near distance, a shoreline, the sound of laughter, music, distant partying. Bacchanalia Beach. Galtanger bobbing on the horizon, painting the water as red as blood. Mercy on the shore, a second Mercy, younger, hair shorter, less scarred, smaller even looking. And standing opposite her, Atalanta. The proud tiefling Triton, horns curving from a strong blue brow, green hair cascading past her shoulders, and next to Atalanta, Vaska. Not yet Paragon, younger too. And on that, we're gonna take a break. See you in 10 minutes. Enjoy the fan art reel. We love you so much. Bijou, bijou. And welcome back. We are back with Arc 6, Episode 9. Let's hop right back into it after the break. Some content warnings for this episode and our campaign in general may include fantasy violence, monsters and monstrosity, body horror, gore, blood and bloodletting, apocalypse, trauma and grief, familial struggles, complex and complicated relationships, romance, references to sexual entanglement, death of loved ones, experimentation, memory loss, and disreality. Use !CW for a full list of these content warnings, and let's hop right back into the session. Vaska. You're younger here, too, in this memory. The waves of Ingir Lake washing up onto the shore, the smell of fire and fun and frenzy and carnival all across the salt-licked sand. What's different about you? What does younger Vaska look like?
I think younger Vaska is dressed perhaps a bit more modestly. There are a little bit more robes covering her. The gold and black accents are not as strong. They are peeking through in little threads of design, but not as bold as it is for her currently. Her hair a little longer, not as cropped as an undercut. There is like the hint of shortness around the sides, but not as crisp as she is now. And it kind of sits wavy against the side of her face. And she is not standing as tall as Vaska does now. There's a
this younger Mercy with shorter hair, not so long as like a ponytail that goes all the way down. I think it's just almost like a kind of like a rough, not like a bob, but it's just kind of roughly cut. She has bangs in this version, and it's like short, like almost like in her face, and she's just standing there like looking at Atalanta, flabbergasted, and she's going, Atalanta, what are you saying? I don't understand. What are you breaking up with me? And Atalanta, sort of muscular arms crossed over her half plate. Yeah. Yeah, Mercy, I am. What to be with that prude? Voska isn't a prude. And I'd appreciate it if you didn't call my partner such callous words. Come the fuck on, Atalanta. What the fuck does she give you that I don't give? What? And I think like Mercy is stammering and looking between younger Voska and younger Atalanta.
In my mind, Voska is just kind of witnessing as like a bystander. Naive, unsure, perhaps not understanding the gravity of the situation until it happened. And kind of looks over to Atalanta, maybe passively pleading of like, perhaps is there a gentler way to doing this? And kind of looking back at younger Mercy and kind of just like reaches out. She's like, Mercy, I'm sorry. Perhaps we should all sit down and have a talk.
Oh, fuck you, you hoity-toity little javelin shoved up your asshole fucking princess. You know what? The two of you deserve each other. You're just... Have fun being Atalanta's next flavor of the week. I hope you're kinky enough for her fucking dark goddamn fucking tastes. And Mercy goes on to say some things that I cannot replicate because I will violate various terms of services across various countries. And it's just a string of just on and on and on, and Atalanta's just standing there, arms crossed over her chest until she says, enough! Mercy? This is why no one will ever truly love you. You
Atalanta.
sad. No, she needs to hear this, Voska. You sad, shriveled, angry, cruel little woman. Fuck off. And if you ever insult Voska in front of me again, I will fucking kill you.
Atalanta! Don't need your protection.
Come on, let's enjoy the party. And Atalanta turns and starts to stalk off as Mercy's just standing there panting, looking like a feral animal, I think. Like her hair is hanging in front of her face. She's just panting. She looks heartbroken and furious.
Young Voska gives young Mercy one last look. Inexperienced, naive, unsure. Looks like is about to reach out a hand. Thinks better of it and kind of nods and walks off after Atalanta.
All right. Have a happily ever after, you two fucking lovebirds. I hope you die in each other's arms. I hope you grow old together. And have stupid little kids that run around telling dumb little stories and you're happy forever. Is that what you want? Boring fucking life. No thanks. Can't be tied down. Fucking. And Mercy turns and strides off toward a different part of the party. And all of you have warped onto the beach. You've witnessed every word. Sen is nowhere in sight. What do you all do?
Sitlali has a death grip on Mercy's hand. Talk to me, babe. How are you? Are you? I mean, you're not. What? Tell me what you're. I'm here for you. What do you need? Killing Voska is not an option. Just putting that one out there.
No, yeah, I said all that, didn't I? I forgot how bad that breakup was. I guess. And Mercy's looking sideways at Voska. Older Voska, short, cropped hair, much more dignified and confident.
Waska is stock still. I think the only movement that happened from her was, and I think maybe Sotlali would be the one person to catch this, was her turning her head at younger self and just light shake. But looks back at that, and when Mercy's words of pain, understandable vitriol, something sinks in Voska's chest. Doesn't stand as tall. It almost looks like there's a slight, ever so slight change, reflection of her younger self, of that kind of loss. And turns around, wipes the corner of the eye, straighten up, kind of looks at everyone, and it feels like everyone's gaze. Godshard.
I think that Oka and, if it's okay with you, Connie, and Shuhai had actually just stood there watching that whole thing. Like, you can't look away from a disaster as it's happening. I think they straight up just, like, were standing there breathing in sync, like, watching that whole thing go down. And I think if it's okay with you, I think both of them kind of, like, go to scratch the back of their heads in the same way. And then Oka notices they're doing that, hears Voska's words, grabs a volleyball off the ground, punts it at Shuhai, and runs in a direction. Not really sure where Sen is.
The volleyball, I think Shuhai just dodges and it goes wide. But they just tilt to the left and it goes on the right. And they start booking it too. And I think on that, Mercy goes, right, yeah, Godshard. And all of you see at the top of a sandy hill, maybe only 15, 20 feet away, not a rabbit, but a fox. A beautiful, beautiful, brownish, reddish fox. Looks like a plain, normal fox, except for the 2 antlers growing out of its forehead, just standing there, tail down, head corked inquisitively at your group. And Shuhai starts booking it up that sand dune.
And I think they had kind of gone in a different direction, and I think they kind of curve wide, and they start heading up the dune too. But they're so far behind Shuhai that I think they're okay, even with all the buffs, they're too far behind. And I like to do my favorite thing to do to get up hills fast, which is I think it's across the sand, 1 foot, 2 foot, and then it's their feet are higher and higher as their wings splay out behind them, and they take 2 big I have a flying speed of 60, so that's a lot faster than I am on the ground. And Oka takes off fast.
Ooh. Okay, I really like that. As these feathery wings splay from you and you pump up and you start to soar and catch up to Shuhai on the ground, and you even your shadow falls over them and you start to eclipse them and pass them, cutting through the air. They look up, they narrow their mismatched gaze at you, and you see them also start jump up, and wings break open from their back as well. Feathery white wings as well. Could you pump up once, twice, and both of you are now flying and soaring through the air in synchronized movement at the same speed, diving toward this fox, which upon seeing these 2 massive winged awesome changeling drow diving at it, the fox just sort of quirks its head to the side, flicks the tip of its tail, turns, and sort of wetly weaves down the sand, with this kind of slick fluid motion. What? Is that how foxes move?
Boo.
Are you booing one of my descriptions?
Wetly.
Fine! It doesn't wetly weave down the sand. I guess Sen just trots down the sand or whatever the fuck, normie foxes do.
Normie foxes? What is this fox?
And as Sen gets to the bottom of the sand dune, the two of you dive down toward it. And the rest of you, I assume, are also like hoofing it from behind, like trying to catch up to Oka and Shuhai and Sen. As you all collide upon the fox, like the world around you whirls again. As you and Shuhai, I think, like just smash into each other headlong, like skidding across the sand, and sand kicks up and obscures your face. And for the rest of you, you see like a massive like cavalcade of sand explode up and like rain down on all of you. And it's gritty and it's raining down and it's dusty and it's getting in your eyes. And by the time the sand hits the ground again, you are no longer on Bacchanalia Beach. Sand hits linoleum floor. You are in a cold, cluttered room. A store. Shelves upon shelves of colorful packages, strange cylinders, newspapers, and magazines written in an unfathomable tongue. There's a counter at the end of this room behind which stands a man dressed in very peculiar clothes. A crimson tunic with a tiny collar around the throat and shoulders painted yellow. The symbol of a golden shell is stitched onto his chest. All of you arrive in this space, like you drop down, and like I think sand litters around your feet, like you were just at the beach and you deposit it here, and it's like in your hair, in your eyes, like getting off your clothes. You're ghostly still. You're at the entrance to the store. It's cold in here. And standing in front of a glass display, maybe 15 feet away from you, a display filled with these multicolored, bubbling-looking potions, is Adam.
Do I recognize this store from anywhere in particular, Connie?
Yes, it is that self-same store from the vision you saw in the scrying bowl.
Lolly looks around. We're not in Ndake anymore. And then I think their eyes fall on Adam. We're ghostly form. But I think that Lolly does run in and try to grab like some of whatever the like strange liquid is and like start shoving cases of it into their bag of holding. Because like clearly this is like something to do with Adam's base of operations with like Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? What is this weird con he was running in this other world before? There's something here. Maybe something to take back to like be helpful against Adam, and like they don't know, but they are very confident that this is important.
Roll me a d20.
Natural 19.
Okay, so as you try to start grabbing stuff off shelves, your hands phase through like a lot of it, like most of it. Like you're unable to affect the environment around you at all. You're just swiping. But I think for whatever reason, your fingers catch onto the edge of like a cold can that's in one, like I think your arm phases through like one of the glass displays right next to Adam, and it phases through it. You feel like the chill, just like almost like chill touch, like wrapping around your fingers, and they sort of like hold onto one of those like tall black cylinders with that like kind of like neon green sigil etched onto it, and your fingers are able to touch it for some reason.
Yeah, I'm grabbing it. I'm observing it. I'm looking at it. And I think also like there's the weirdness of that, but then they turn and they look at Adam again. And I think with the strange like canister, they reach out and punch, knowing that it's not gonna land, but like they reach out and go to punch him in the face anyway.
Are you trying to punch him in the face with the cylinder?
Yes.
Or okay, so your hand grabbing onto still holding the cylinder, you can feel it's kind of heavy, like it's sloshed, like filled with some sort of liquid, but you don't see like a stopper or a cork at the top. It's just sort of like a tab flat against it. And as you try to punch Adam in the face, both your hand and the cylinder and yourself just phase right through him. Like almost as soon as you interacted with it, it no longer became corporeal as well. And you sort of see his like limpid, straggly yellow hair in front of his face. Like maybe like now that you're close enough, like you see kind of like maybe like day-old stubble on his jaw. He's dressed in just kind of like a droopy, sad gray outfit all the way down. And like part of this glass display is open and he's like just looking at the stuff inside.
And I think Sitlali is just trying to like look at it, like is looking at the same thing that he is with like high intensity and just trying to figure out like what type of place is this? Is this his base of operations? No, clearly not, because like the guy they remember from the guy at the front, like they didn't seem to be co-workers of some. It seemed to be very transactional. So she's like she's got the mental conspiracy board and is trying to figure out like the purpose of this place. Yeah.
Okay, as you're looking around, it's overwhelming. There are just like languages, it's like written words. You recognize them as words, but they're not in any sort of language you understand. And Adam's just standing there just staring into this like kind of ice box, and you see him reach in and hold up a similar cylinder as yours and consider it. And while that's happening, I'd love to pan back to the rest of the party, and I want to know what the rest of you are up to.
Dewey. Are we in the URL right now?
I don't know. Dewey turns around and looks out the window and sees a bunch of these strange metal vehicles.
Yeah, you look out the window and it's just almost like a black field, very flat, with like a really odd, ominous looking, like almost like a pavilion structure, hanging around with like weird like machines that have coils and pumps and tubes coming out of them. And there's like, you recognize them as vehicles, similar to the vehicles at the derelict Death Derby, for instance, like idling at several of these machines, but there are also white lines painted on this like black field, and other vehicles are right up next to the store.
Dewey grabs Oka and tries to duck between aisles in this store. He's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen these before, but I think this is their work.
Do you? What the fuck?
I don't know.
Dewey,
I haven't been here.
This is what you were building? I don't know.
Wasn't trying to. I haven't been here. Who's been here?
Are you trying to use me as cover right now? Shuhai! And Oka's like talking in a whisper for some reason.
Shuhai is striding past all of you. I think you see they're like looking between things on the shelves, right? Like trying to find the fox. They're looking around, they're striding. They're just like ghostly robes just flapping. They're ignoring Adam, they're ignoring Sitlali, ignoring the oddness of all of this, and they're just looking. They like pick up some like those stacked various not wicker baskets. They pick up a stack and look underneath it, shake their head, put it back down. You know, they're looking.
Where the fuck are we?
We're in some other reality. Isn't that obvious? It doesn't matter, though. Sen, where are you? I know you're here. Why did you bring us here? Why are you showing us this place? Every other place has had a connection with one of us, hasn't it? But what connection did this place have with our group? That's beside the point. Sen! And Shuhai is stalking up and down the aisles. Go ahead, Voska.
Voska is going, I think when Voska lands here, there's like a brief moment, a brief second, where her serpentine eyes like widen, the pupils enlarge. But then pan over to Sitlali and see how incredibly invested Sitlali is at the current situation, and will tilt over to Mercy and say, what is Sitlali doing?
And you see that Mercy has somehow managed to pick up 2 packages that are like tiny in her massive hands, and whenever she moves them, they crinkle, making kind of like a crunch noise, and they have like these like weird objects like on the label, and she's like looking at them. Huh? What is this place?
Mercy.
What? Huh?
Mercy. Your partner.
Sitlali!
Why? What is she doing?
I don't know, but Sitlali! And Mercy sort of shoves past you, reminded that Sitlali is here and doing stuff, and like runs up to where you are, Sitlali. Hey, what are you doing? What is this place? Who's that guy?
That's Adam, Mercy.
What? No,
this
that's
is where
not.
Adam is from. Yes, it is. This is what I saw. Remember the bowl, the ivory bowl, and and he's a con man. Remember?
Wait, yeah.
This is-
Oh yeah. But this is where he's from. Guys, this is Adam's home. This is Adam's home.
He doesn't live here.
He
but
lives
he
here.
on
Is
this
from the URL.
This is
He lives at the URL?
This is not Ndake.
What do you mean?
Adam is not. Oh, you weren't there. Long story short, Adam is not of Ndake. Adam is a con man. He went through a portal and landed somewhere on a beach during the cataclysm.
Oh my god.
Wait, Sitlali, are you telling me that you came here, you saw this, and what you got out of that was that Adam is a con man?
Yes. And that he wasn't of Ndake. I said that.
And Adam turns and phases, like walks through you and Mercy down the aisle and puts like the basket up on the counter. And like you see this transaction beginning to happen.
When they start to speak, I would like to cast tongues on myself so that I understand any spoken language and also any creature can understand me.
Okay. You hear the gibberish turn from Adam to be like, I mean, I don't have enough on the card. Run it again. All right, I'll run it again, but... Yep, there it is, insufficient funds. Fine, fuck it, I'll put the monster back. And like, you see Adam pick up the cylinder and like walk it back toward where you are. Right, like he phases past you again and opens it up. And you also hear the lyrics to the song that's playing just everywhere and nowhere at once in the background of this also start to fade in. And the song goes... Ain't nobody who can comfort me. Why won't you answer me? The silence is slowly killing me. Oh yeah. Girl, you really got me bad. You really got me bad, bad. I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back. And Adam starts to put the monster back into the shelf. And you see that like the cylinder is like black. And you think of mother's blood as also being black and this being referred to as monster. And the cylinder you put in your bag of holding was the same kind.
This might be big, actually.
There's a tinkling noise as like the doors open and several people start to walk through the space. You all see a group of maybe like 5 or 6 people. And they like, even though they come in, neither the guy behind the counter nor Adam seem to notice them at first at all. You see a tiefling among one of them, like with horns spiraling out of her forehead. They're all dressed in like leather, this kind of like black leather armor, and they have like weapons and swords strapped to their body, and like other kinds of objects strapped to their body as well that none of you recognize. And 4 of them are holding a 5th. This man who has this sort of like silvery strip like over his mouth, and he's just sort of going and like thrashing and struggling, but they're sort of like carrying him forcibly like through the store, moving toward like a back room area. And bringing up the rear is a tall, broad woman who's about the same like build and stature as Mercy, who has like a shaved head and these like intricate black tattoos just going up like the skin of her neck, like onto like the back of her head, almost like these like circular tattoos of almost like a cosmological system or something like against her skin. And she's like bringing up the rear and sort of looking around, and like they start to go into like a back room area.
I think Voska immediately like looks over to Sitlali. Did you see them as well?
Yes, and they're going to open a portal, and Adam's going to go through it and land on the beach and meet the chrysalis.
They can't see us, which means that they were here, not like us.
Yes.
And I think Voska is going to try and look for Sen, because this sounds like some fucking change shenanigans going on here. She doesn't know what's going on. There's a lot of overstimulation here.
A lot is going on right now. Yeah, it's overwhelming. Shuhai also clocks this all, turns, sees these people cutting through the store, and without like another word, they follow. Their like ghostly form actually even like cuts through them. Like they phase through this tall shaved head woman. They phase through the people like carrying like the fifth man who's like struggling, and they get into that back room area. And based on how urgently they're walking, okay, you get the feeling they have a feeling they know where Sen is.
Oka hears Sitlali say portal and sees Shuhai starting to do that. And I think in the mediary time, they had climbed up onto one of like the tops of these aisles and like probably like scattered some of the bags down so that they could like get up higher and see. And I think they start like, they jump from like one to the next to the next to the next to try to also intercept and get into the back room.
Yeah, totally. You jump, and like we see just like the shelves sort of rattle and like little packages fall onto the ground with every spring. And then you hop down and you are able to, just like Shuhai, phase through these people, making their way into like a back room area. And as you step past the threshold, you see, sure enough, a portal swirling against the opposite wall. This area looks to be maybe a privy. You see what looks like maybe a toilet, like up against one wall, and like a sink and a mirror above that sink that reflects all the people dragging the guy in, but not you or Shuhai. And as you come in, you see Shuhai sort of has like their hands up in front of this swirling portal, which looks like an obsidian disc. Within it, swirling iridescent crystals and almost like little like strobes of lightning just sort of like echo outward and like strobe and pulse and fractal themselves, right? It almost looks like looking into the eye of like a black storm, almost, is what this portal resembles. And sort of just sitting there next to the portal, considering it, but not going in quite yet, Sen, in fox form, antlers tilted to the side, as each of these people phase through it. You see like two, the tiefling who's carrying like one shoulder steps backward through the portal and vanishes with a wobble. And like the other person carrying the other shoulder vanishes. Like the top half of the struggling guy vanishes through the portal. And like the two people, like one grabbing onto his leg, one grabbing onto the other leg, also vanish. And this like butch looking tall, broad woman is stepping up toward it as well.
Oka sees Sen, glance out of the corner of their eye at Shuhai, but before diving for it, what's going on here? If you know, can you please not be a prick about it?
I am not entirely sure. This place is as strange to you as it is to me. But there are worlds, there are realities beyond the ones we currently inhabit. Of that, I am sure. I am not so arrogant to assume that Endake is the only place that has ever, currently, and will ever exist. But this place is not our concern. This is not the home we are fighting to preserve. Step back. Let me claim Sen again, and I can protect our home for everyone.
How? How are you going to do that?
I must be close. I must be close to finding a way to unwrite the cataclysm from ever happening again. Your blood, it interfered, but I have time. I can just set the cycle back again at the beginning of Adolin, and I'll try again and again, however long it takes until I do it.
Why are we both so fucking stubborn? We try again and again and again and again, and it doesn't matter. People die in front of us because of us. You left your fellow Paragons. What are they doing now? You could be fucking it up for all of us.
They're fine. They can take care of themselves, Oka, just like I can, just like you can. They are trapped, as we are. Suspended in a cycle, set to repeat itself over and over and over again. The first stranger war until I return, so I must return soon, Oka, because the longer I am away, the more she learns. I don't have time for this. And Shuhai turns and dives for Sen, and Sen hops right through that portal, slips past Shuhai's fingers, and Shuhai tumbles through the abyss as well.
Oh, Oka's right on their heels.
As you dive through this obsidian whirling plate that is also a portal, the entire world around you just distends, elongates, and turns into these long, thick ribbons of rainbow light that just filter past you, like you're entering some sort of like warp drive, or you're in like a long tunnel streaked with veins of different kinds of iridescent opals and minerals. And as that happens, extending outward from that back room, the same thing occurs to all of you as well. Right? This store, this Not and Dake, this home of Adam, this place beyond the now, the after, and the beyond, it all just sort of, you see colors bleed like watercolor on canvas and just stretch along, right? You see Adam's face get really, really long and just blend into everything else. You see every single part of this store and this station, this location just and turn into swirling, whirling color around your entire party. And as all of you start to hurtle through literal time and space in these long ribbons, like threads of the weave flittering past you, Oka, at the very front of it, you're just sort of like free-falling through space, right? Like, not down, but horizontally forward in like an odd sensation, right? As you feel your soul being tugged, magnetized towards something, attracting it. And that something is, of course, the fox with antlers, which is also Sen. You see it running. Unlike the rest of you, just sort of like gracelessly flopping through the space, Sen is running, running, running. You see those antlers just sort of like tossing side to side, its big bushy tail sort of wagging from one end to another. And as it does, you see several threads moving past your face, turn fat and thick and like tall and broad and turn into scenes that you witness like playing out as you try to like clamber your way through space and time towards Sen, past Shuhai, who's also falling horizontally. You see a tavern, laughter, the pungent smell of drink, the thumping of tankards against wood, windows thrown open to entice a breeze, the Hema Sea glittering on a shoreline, gentle, slinking past a crowd with their mask on still, following a giggling barmaid down a flight of stairs toward a basement, and then a younger Sitlali, a younger Jiran, heading up a flight of stairs toward the inn's guest quarters, and a half-elf, short black hair, a streak of red through it, freckled and svelte, making their way through the crowd, bumping into patrons, going, whoops, pardon, sorry, excuse me, past all of it. And as this tavern moment of the Red Lagoon wipes away, it bleeds into sort of like cresting from east to west above you, a bridge. You see a bridge ballooning into existence in this like swirling column, this corridor, this tunnel of time and space. You're hurtling down toward a bridge, mossy stone, old wood, spanning the breath of the black tongue. And underneath you, you see like the rushing water, and this bridge above you, the shivering dance of dying light over this water, the smell, it's coming toward you now. On top of this swirling gale all around you, the smell of smoldering ash. The corpse of a once mighty ship, Mahu's favor, blackened and twisted. You watch it flip past all of you, twisted against a wooden dock, and sailing down this river underneath your feet, cutting a gentle V through the water. In its wake is a canoe. And sitting within that canoe as it passes under this bridge are Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V. And as this canoe also gets, I think, drawn down this river of time, a hall begins to ripple itself into existence, a mighty, vast throne room, pillars punching upward, a sweeping balcony, a raised dais, a golden throne, and a woman bleeding out on top of it, refracted in a dozen different locations all around you, like panels upon a diamond. Atalanta, straining against the prongs of her own trident, spearing through her chest, refracted a dozen different times in a dozen different realities, blood blooming against her chainmail. And you all sort of see running up toward Atalanta, 10 different versions of the same party. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, and V huddling around her. And Oka, you remember this moment as you're soaring and sailing through time and space. You watch yourself kneel in front of this bleeding, dying woman, and you recall that Dr. Luso was at your side, their presence an anchor for you. But here in this memory, in this past, the doctor isn't here. And I think this memory, because it is tethered both to Oka and to Voska and to Dewey, who recalls this, it stays for a little bit longer.
Voska stops. Frozen. Just absent-mindedly, mind gone, logic gone. She follows her heart, pulling her chest closer and closer to the throne. She steps trepidatiously. It starts off as weak walking, and then it breaks to a slight jog, and then she slides upon her knees right by Atalanta's arm, upon the armrest of the throne.
Voska, as soon as you take a step out of this whirling swirl, you get the sense you're mid-transit here, right? What you're seeing is almost like you're like in the middle of like a cylindrical, horizontal, domed amphitheater, and it's like you're watching the scene play out on a projection, but as you try to approach it, the transit destabilizes, right? And we see this thing begin to turn 3D, like the 10 different versions of the story playing out begin to meld together, and all of you hear Shuhai go, no, we're so close to getting sent, God damn it! As Voska, you step forward and you cause the scene to collapse inward and actualize around you. And all of these different versions of Atalanta bleeding out meld into a single one, and boom, there she is. You're in the throne room now. You're no longer traveling. Atalanta on the throne, blood staining her chainmail. Oka, Manaya, Dewey, V huddled around her. Shuhai stumbles forward ghostily. Sen, and just completely ignoring what's happening here, starts to like look behind pillars, look around the space, but the rest of you get a moment, and Voska, you step up toward Atalanta. What did the rest of you do?
I think Oka's impulse is to like go after Shuhai again, in the wake of their legacy's footsteps again. But they realize where they are. And I think they like take one step after Shuhai and then like look back toward the throne. And I think they just kind of slowly sidle up behind Voska. And beside Voska, past Oka, I think like has their hands on Atalanta's body and is like taking on her pain and ceasing it within her own body, like trying to figure out what's going on, realizing that she has bled out too far, but stopping the pain. This slightly younger Oka, like just to your left, I think.
I think this is like the first time you see a disheveled, desperate Voska as her ghostly hands, clamber around the armor and wound, and Atalanta's hand and her neck and her face, going through it each time. And then her hand is on Oka's, younger Oka's. Something twitches. A realization. She's silent, but her eyes are still upon the fading glaze upon her lover's gaze. You helped.
I tried.
Was she in pain? And you see Voska's ghostly hands touch Atalanta's fallen face.
And Oka considers themselves? No. I made sure it was painless.
And Oka, if you were to tilt your head to look at Voska's visage, streams of frozen tears mark her face, staining her scales, freezing them solid. As she reaches out to Atalanta, just listening to the last things she's saying, just every desperate moment clinging onto it, her other hand on Parable.
And Atalanta, upon that throne in her final moments, with like younger Oka pressed over her wound, trying to make this last experience for her painless. She shudders. Her eyes are struggling to focus, to stay open. Her mouth is red and full with her own blood, determined to get her last words out to someone who can carry on a message for her. Tell Voska I love her.
At that moment, Voska breaks into a mewling cry as she just sobs and looks at Oka, looks at Atalanta, grabs Parable, and Connie, if you will allow me, I'm about to do some shenaniganery over here.
Okay. Yes, I will. Go ahead, what are you trying to do?
She just swings Parable helplessly within her hand, absent-mindedly, like an incense censer, with one hand and her other hand upon Atalanta's chest, as she is weeping and crying, and it creates a song as she tells a story, hoping against all hope that maybe Parable's tale weaving might let Atalanta know the truth. Would you like me to make the roll now or tell the story first?
Tell the story first, then roll. Let's do it. Let's play with fire.
Voska starts a story off with a young woman, two young women meeting upon the shores of Nepal. One playing a flute, the other practicing their combat arts. Next, they walk through fields of green mountains. And then on the streets of Nepal, purchasing grilled meats. And then one hand touches the other, grazing against it gently. Eyes lock. And it happens, the magic of love. And then it is a tale of snapping sounds between tridents and flute. And then heartbreak as the stars disappear, as fears enter her mind. Voska turns away, leaving a shadow behind, weeping and screaming and roaring. And then it is the here and now. I stand here before you, my hand to your chest, and all that I hope to know and all that I will ever be is my love for you. I love you till my dying day and to oblivion. I love you.
And what would you like to try to do, Voska?
I want to weave my tale so that the story of Voska's love, hopefully, if this illusion holds true, might somehow reach Atalanta. Somehow, even if a whisper upon the wind, a glint of a memory in the far corner of the room. Anything.
Okay. Roll for it.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. I was joking in my head. That's a natural 20.
Yes! Let's go!
I'm taking a photo of this. I'm sorry. A photo needs to be taken.
To commemorate this moment?
That's a 35 performance check.
You're using Parable's mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So read what happens on a nat 20.
I'll read the ability so people know what's going on. Once per long rest, you may attempt to weave a tale into reality by swinging Parable. Tell a story about the world you want to be true and make a performance check. On a 19 and lower, the story manifests as a powerful but temporary illusion. On a 20 to 29, choose 2 additional effects. The illusion is indistinguishable from a real thing, it lasts a long time, or it's autonomous. On a 30 plus, an aspect of the story becomes real.
Wow. The dice have spoken! Gay love triumphs over all! Okay, so, Voska, you tell this story, and I think as you speak, we see these memories, these illusions, like, come out of Parable and, like, weave themselves around you. Like, all of you see, like, ghostly light forms emanate out of how Voska is swinging Parable, almost like subconsciously, right? We see these two forms twined together, Voska and Atalanta. We see their story of love and heartbreak and hope and grief in the face of apocalypse. And Atalanta, on the throne, her dying eyes fixed on Oka, right, bleeding out. For a half second, her brow furrows, and her eyes flick past Oka and lock onto your face, Voska. And there's a moment where she inhales her last breath, seeing your face. You know this to be true, Voska. She saw you. She saw you. Somehow, you've rewritten time with love to reach across space to find her in this moment. And you see her mouth start to form your name. And then Shuhai exclaims, "There you are!" And interrupting this moment, dives forward upon a fox that springs out from behind a pillar. And the world warps away. And Voska, you see Atalanta just fall down, like she's going down a well. Her face just becomes small, her eyes are fixed on you. Her mouth hasn't said your name yet, but you see that V brimming on her lips, and boom, she's gone. And as the world continues to spin, just like various different like realities are just fluttering and shuddering all around. You see like you see like a cavern sort of shimmer into existence, like a big blade of a cavern. No, it's not a cavern. It's a demiplane. No, it's a back room to a magic store. All endless expanse and piled crates. The weave tensing all around you like a sore muscle. And you all see a younger Dewey in cargo shorts, backing away from a tall, imposing Loxodon woman who's kind of like twitching and shifting and contorting. Her trunk is sort of like smashing back into her face, and her ears are big, flat, like Loxodon ears, like shaped like lotus leaves, are sharpening. Her arms are thinning out. Her stature is shrinking until she's no longer a Loxodon person, but a demon. A dog-headed man with a grinning maw bristling full of razor-sharp teeth. And the myriad we all see advances upon Dewey in this like swirling memory, and then that memory is wiped away, replaced by a garden. Chrysanthemums, the chill of late fall, a hawthorn tree, branches twisted in painterly beauty, the memory of autumn clinging to its withering leaves. We see an outstretched hand, fingers going up toward the sky, a veiled face tilted up toward the horizon, black hair flowing down past royal robes, and we see the first snowflake of winter falling down from a sunless atmosphere, down down, down, down toward the Emperor's outstretched fingers, and we also see a shadow lurking behind a hedge, swirling around all of you like a cyclone, gloved fingers tightening around a hammer, a breath, a step, a noise like a bell collapsing, a chisel flying through the air, and then bone, gasp, shatter. Blood splashes across virgin snow, and the Paragon Killer, victorious, stepping forward, bronze mask shining darkly. And then the Emperor rising, turning, robe stained with blood, eyes changing, skin shifting, Oka brimming up out of their throat to say,
Hey bitch, me again. Let's dance.
and on Oka turning to face Tarnok, swirls again until we find ourselves all around us surrounded by a frozen lake. Deep in the maw of winter, the sound of screaming, chaos, ice cracking, splitting, frigid stitches bursting, water surging upward, columns, pillars of boiling heat punching toward a starless, vacuous sky. The shrieking of ice, the thundering of feet, the shaking and booming of frozen tectonic plates, cracking, sinking, gushing into roiling water, Bolshaya disintegrating. A lightning bolt of darkness streaks across this ice, splitting it open, marvelous, glowing structures and tents collapsing into steam-hot water, the snarling of monsters? In this new, strange darkness, the rending of what is that, flesh? The crunching of bone, the smell of blood, and ice, and snow, and all of you see, sort of in the middle of it all, almost like a camera swooping down to fixate on one person in particular, Geron, screaming soundlessly into the howling abyss around him, collapsed on his knees on the precipice of this chaos of surging, bubbling, boiling water all around him. We see that his arms, all the way up to the elbow, his hands are plunged into the murk, his flesh rippling in pain, the smell of burning skin. And it keeps going. And he keeps burning. And Oka, you feel a familiar gut sensation. As Geron stays there, hunched over the water, you flash for a half second, for a millisecond, back to the Silent Grove, when you saw yourself dying and Liangya failing to save your soul. You flash back now, and you see Geron dying. On his knees, hands plunged into boiling water, reaching for something. You don't know what he's grasping for, but if he keeps going for it, he's not gonna make it out of here alive. And we can end the session there. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Arc 6, Episode 9 of The Second Stranger. This has been Jukai, Session 4. We hope you enjoyed it. We will tune in next week for the continuation of what's going on with the Morose group. And after that, we're going to see what the heck's going to happen with Jukai. So I've been your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me all across the internet on Ko-Fi, TikTok, Twitter, and Itch at by Connie Chang. That's BYCONNIECHANG. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Quinn.
Hi, hello, I'm Quinn. My pronouns are they, she, and I have been your resident grave cleric, Sitlali of the day. I'm a tabletop designer, sensitivity reader, actual play performer, freelance writer, hire me to do things, dabs. Find me on Twitter at Quintastic_. Valiant Dorian.
Hi everyone, my name is Valiant Love Wins Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a TTRPG performer and Twitch variety streamer. I had the incredible distinct pleasure of playing Voska Paragon Nebutsa, College of Sea bard, who did her goddamn best and is not okay. Is like head deep in grief. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorn or at Also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy the little treasure hunt I put you on, and check out my streams and stuff. They're pretty cool sometimes. I'm gonna pass outro introductions over to Max.
Hello, my name is Max. My pronouns are they, them. I've played Dewey. Just should have gone to that holiday party quirk. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Starchmonger, and if you want to come check out my sewing stuff, I'm on Etsy and Instagram at Stitchmonger as well. I'll pass it to C.
Hi everyone, my name's C. I use they, them pronouns. I am a tabletop performer, dramaturg, digital artist. You can find me making very trans, very gay art on the internet at PieSharp Art. You can also find me playing or having played in a variety of games. I really don't know when anything in my schedule happens. Check me out on Twitter to see what I'm doing. I might be playing a very sexy vampire. I most likely have done that at least once already. So check me out doing that. I promise it's good. But today I have had the distinct pleasure, indeed, of playing Mokoya Hyen, who also uses they, them pronouns, who love dies. Mokoya Hyen. Woof. Back to you, Connie.
Woof, indeed. Yes, we are going to be rating someone really awesome right now, no doubt. So give them a follow if you like their stuff. Tell them Transplanar sent you. Use the raid message in chat. Even if you can't stick around, it's good to rep the brand. We will see you next Saturday at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. That's 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central. We love you so much. And bijo, bijo.